Good evening.
Hi, Carol.
Can you turn off the recording for a while until 7 o'clock?
Sure. Okay. So we're gonna pause it.
It's like, oh my God.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Sue is our admin host this evening. So if anything comes up, Sue's the one.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Planning Board July 24th, 2023 meeting being held remotely by Zoom per guidance from Governor Healy. I'll remind everybody that this is being recorded, to please keep yourself on mute if there's any background noise. And if to identify yourself if you're going to speak. With that being said, we're going to go to the first item on the agenda, which is a review of the Falling Waterscapes water feature at 14 Dedham Street next to Dunkin' Donuts. And I think you all have the preliminary site plan review that was sent out with the package. It's Jonathan Marston, who's the principal and designer and creating force behind all that, is with us tonight. This is the second site plan review for the water feature. The first one was approved by the planning board in 2019. And Jonathan, I'm going to allow you to update us on the new plans and why you're here tonight, and to go over your new design.
Sure. So it's probably close to 6 weeks ago now. I wanted to go in and make some major repairs and renovations to the old water feature at the Dunkin'. So the vertical urns and the big fountain reservoir that was underneath there, because we were having some problems. For example, kids which were interacting around the feature, which was great, had clogged up a lot of the different fountain pieces. So we had to actually take them apart and try to unclog them. And the process of doing a lot of that, as well as other repairs, we were doing more damage to the feature to fix it than if we would just start from scratch. So kind of realized once we were into it that we had to make some really substantial changes. And with that, started to do a redesign to make the feature look a little bit more natural, something that fits in that space a little bit better, and is also more reflective of what we do too as a business, which is mostly koi ponds and natural waterfalls, not so much the vertical fountain piece that used to be at the Dunkin' location there. So that was kind of the impetus, and I guess that's what led me to write. Carol an email asking if I should talk to the planning board about some of the changes that were going on there, as it was an unintended became much bigger than I had expected in terms of the project.
Okay, so would you like to go over your new plan?
Sure. I mean, do you guys have any questions? I mean, it's principally we're using a lot of the same materials. So we reused all the stone that was in the prior feature. We just arranged it in a different way. We got rid of all the vertical urns in favor for lower profile waterfalls. And then the biggest substantial change with those materials were creating a deeper pond, versus before there were shallower pools, only like 8 to 10 inches deep at max, versus this one that's 2 feet deep, which is in accordance with the town code. Anything 2 feet or less that isn't subject to any type of permitting.
And we also have a lighting plan.
Right. Yes. So we had lights with the old feature, but with this new feature where there's a bigger body of water and a lot of residents in the vicinity who I've spoken to throughout the course of me building the project, we want to light the area for more safety, but also for the residents' enjoyment around the feature who come there at night. So I put forth a lighting plan for not only underwater lights, but also some pathway lights, some downward facing, low wattage pathway lights that kind of light the seating areas so that people can spend some time there later in the evening.
Oh, and thank you for sending the example of the lighting.
Yeah, I thought that would be
Yeah,
helpful.
that's helpful.
Just as a reminder, when the original water feature was approved back in 2019, there was no lighting after dark allowed.
Okay.
And I did speak with Chief McGowan over the
Mhm.
last couple of days to ask his opinion on the lighting. And he had no problem with it. And Jonathan and I met and walked the area last week or the week before. And I actually put on my grandmother hat and thought that if folks are walking around there, kids are walking around there in dusk or in dark, that given the way that the pathway has been improved, that I thought that some bollard light, downward facing bollard lighting shielded would be a good safety aspect to add.
Carol, I should probably know this, so apologies, but do we have any, what is the word? Oversight of lighting in other locations in the downtown area? I can't remember the rule, or if there
So,
is anything.
We address lighting from a signage standpoint,
Yeah,
right? So like the Dover Market,
Yeah.
that parking lot, and the number of, flashing lights or lighted signs that are in store windows, for instance, at the Dover Market or at the old cafe,
right, as signage, right?
as signage, that's right. Yeah. So as Jody so astutely recognized a couple of minutes ago, the document that was sent out, the preliminary site plan review approval decision, is actually the second step of a process that we normally see as a two-step. So normally the town planner writes a report. And then based upon the discussion and the motions that are made at the planning meeting, she then takes that report, reformats some of it into a decision, adds whatever was made for the motion. And then that document is the one that I sign as chair, and that's the document that officially goes into the file and goes to the building inspector. Because we don't have a town planner right now, I thought I'd save myself a little bit of time and skip the first document and go directly to the second document, and we can adjust that accordingly.
Okay.
So that's why this one looks like a preliminary site plan review approval decision versus the town planner report. But
You want to
we-
bring that up or anything, Carol, or do you just want to walk through it?
does everybody have it? Has everybody seen it? Sue, can you bring it up?
Also, I just wanted to mention that Karen, I'm sorry, I just wanted to acknowledge that we have a new person on the call here.
Yes, Karen is here
she's
for the
on-
Wilson's Way.
She's on for 5 Wilsondale.
Okay, got it.
I mean, Wilson's Way.
Yep.
Great.
Okay. Okay, Carol, what was the decision,
the
right? Water
decision.
The
decision?
decision, there it is, right, the Word document. Yep,
A little slow here.
Carol, can I ask a
Got it.
question while it's
Sure.
opening?
uh-huh,
Jonathan, I thought it was a nice design. I liked that it was a little bit less vertical than previously, and it looks like it's something, really quite beautiful.
Thank you.
The question I had for you is from Carol, and this is the board, I didn't see any kind of fencing at all or any kind of barrier restraint. I know that Carol, you had referred to the lighting as a safety element, but do we have any concerns here, particularly given that it's a little bit deeper with respect to, maybe children getting near the water and any concerns about having some kind of a fencing around the water treatment?
So I can speak to that. So with
Yeah.
the permitting process with all of our water features, and it's very common, not just in Dover, but in all towns throughout Massachusetts, that any body of water that's deeper than 2 feet deep requires a fencing and gets viewed by a lot of municipalities as a pool. So you're subject to all different types
Yes.
of
Okay.
pool permitting. Where we're under 2 feet, it's not an issue. And also, not all water features are created equal. Some people install them with just like that rubber roofing, material that's very slick and very dangerous. But with ours, we put a series of large boulders in that don't move. So if a child was ever to fall in there, it's tiered, it's not a slippery surface. They'd easily
Yeah.
be able to climb out. And
Okay.
also, given the nature of that space down there where you have traffic flying in and out, in my period of times working down there, both in 2018 and now, I rarely see children there unsupervised, or young children, I should say.
Okay, yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
So Joe, do you think possibly you can share from yours since
Sure.
Sue doesn't seem to
No
be
problem.
working?
Sue, why don't
Um,
you stop sharing if yours is stuck?
No, it's, I have it up. You're not seeing it?
No,
No,
Okay, yeah, it's here.
I'll stop you for now and then we can try. to-
Okay, Jody.
Okay, great. Hold on 1 second.
Do I need to stop share?
I just stopped you. You should be.
Okay, okay.
Well, I thought I did. This is, I'm gonna make, yes, I want to continue. Let's see. Nope. Sorry, guys, just trying to get the document open.
well, while we work on getting the document open, since you all have it and have hopefully read it as well, let me just
Yep.
start going through it.
Yeah,
So-
right, exactly.
So as with all our site plan reviews, we take the criteria that's listed in our zoning bylaw and we address each one. So the first one was compliance with the requirements for lot size, frontage, those types of measurements. And this new design uses the same footprint that was approved in 2019, so it's still totally valid. The second criteria had to do with the location of driveway openings in relationship to traffic. Again, given that it's using the same footprint, there's no additional impact from what was approved in 2019 for either cars, bicycles, or pedestrian safety on or off the site. In fact, the removal of the tall urns and the high water spillway will actually reduce the risk of slippery spray or ice in the area, which had been a concern to us in 2019. And the addition of lights within the pool and bollar lights around the path should also improve safety during darkness. The third criteria was there we go, C, the adequacy of the arrangement of parking. Again, no change from the original plan. D has to do with the appearance with the new building. I think most of us have stated already that we think that this is actually an improved design, as Jonathan has stated as well, in that it's less vertical. It's using the current material that was approved back in 2019. And I would say that the softscape landscaping is just beautiful. E, provisions for detrimental impacts. Again, no impacts are expected. F, the relationship of structures to the area around it. Again, I think that this is just an improved design. Potential impact on natural resources, including groundwater and open space. There's no impact change expected. It was noted that the original plan, the septic system is underneath the walkway, and should any septic repairs be necessitated, this deconstruction of the water feature will be required, and the Board of Health has so stated. The Board of Health has also noted that water circulation and treatment is required. And I had asked Jonathan to check, which he did with Mass Fish and Wildlife, and they confirmed that they have no concerns regarding the project should Jonathan choose to put in some fish. There's no impact on town resources, which is criteria H. Harmony, criteria I think this will improve the harmony over what was approved in 2019. And J, this application continues to comply with the requirements of the zoning bylaws. So, do I have any further questions or comments from the planning board members?
None for me, thank you.
Okay, Bill, are you all set?
I'm great.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to make a motion, which will then need to be seconded, and then we'll take a vote. So after considering the application and other materials submitted at its meeting of July 24th, 2023, the board approved the plans entitled with the following conditions. 1, any future modifications, including any changes to the lighting plan approved in this decision, shall be reviewed and approved by the planning board prior to any work being performed. Ambient lighting in the pond and bollards around the safety can be on from dusk to dawn. Bollards are to be shielded and downward facing. The water pond will be maintained and repaired in a timely manner. Should it be non-operational for more than 2 weeks, the water will be drained.
Carol, can I just ask one thing?
Yep. Mhm.
Point number one, I think you read something that's not in the document.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I added that.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're not looking
Yes,
at the right.
yep,
Okay, got
Yeah, sorry, I've got a new copy here, yep. Yeah, I did this before the lighting plan came in.
it.
With the specifics. Number 3, all conditions from the April 8th, 2019 site plan review decision remain in effect, except those superseded by this decision. And 4, all conditions conveyed by the Board of Health must also be implemented. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Wonderful, let's take a vote. Carol has been yes. Jody Shu,
yes.
Bill Motley,
Yes.
great. In that case, this is approved. Jonathan, you can finish it up. And thank you.
Awesome.
Look forward to seeing it all finished.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm
Taking a little
sure-
bit longer
sure.
with all the other jobs we're doing, but it will get there.
Right.
All
Well,
right, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
All set, no more questions or anything?
Yep,
All right, have a
Great.
good night. See ya.
thank you, you too. Okay, thank you. And now. The second item on our agenda is the continuation of our discussion about the pool on 5 Wilson's Way from our June 21st meeting. And let's see who we have here tonight. We have Karen and Andrew and Jonathan. Great. Thank you all for coming back.
Thank you.
And I should note that James Stewart is now on as well. Good evening, James. Okay, you might be on mute. I can't tell if you wanted to say something or not.
Yeah, he's muted.
Okay. So at the last meeting, let's see, we don't have any of the abutters here yet. And it is 8:17. Okay, so we're going to continue. At the last meeting, the residents from Dedham Street expressed some concerns, and after discussion, the planning board decided that it would be appropriate to have a site visit, which George Sidgwick, one of our members, agreed to take on. Unfortunately, he could not be here tonight, but he did issue a report, and he did have a site visit on July 17th with Andrew, Jonathan, and Karen in attendance, as well as Dr. Poor, who is the abutter on Dedham Street. He took some pictures that were forwarded to all of you as well, looking down from 5 Wilson Way, down towards Dedham Street, and then from Dedham Street looking up towards the house. And I hope you all had a chance to review that. So for those who were in attendance, Karen, Andrew, or Jonathan, is there anything that you would like to share with us from that meeting?
Thank you for having us. I think that when we walked the site, it was pretty clear that there's a good buffer between the two properties. I don't think the fence will be really visible from their house. It was hard for us to actually see their house from the location where we were going to have the fence. It also showed that, you know, where the pool is going to be is below a large ledge. So the lights from the pool will be kept down. And we are gonna do some planting around for buffers in different areas, but we have over 400 feet of buffer between us and the property.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Anything from Andrew or Jonathan?
Nothing specific to add to that, Sue. I mean, maybe just, we had a nice walk around the site. I think Scott had his concerns addressed and obviously we had a conversation with the abutter and I don't think there were any concerns about the pool in particular. Then that translated to some concerns about the fence, but as Karen said, the fence would be located, hundreds and hundreds of feet from the property line and from the adjacent property.
Okay. Any comments from Jody or Bill?
I don't believe so. I did have a chance to look at it and I particularly appreciated the document that really showed those distances because that helped. I think that at our last meeting, it was a little challenging with the map that it was just difficult to kind of imagine it. So very helpful to see it clearly laid out. So thanks.
I do have, sorry to interrupt, I do have a PowerPoint that has an aerial view that lists those distances out with the tree canopy on it. If you want to see that, I can.
Sure. That'd be
Sure.
great.
That would be very helpful. Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Sue, she might need to be made a co-host.
Okay.
I can do that.
You want to do it?
Actually, I can't. I think you have to.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously? Is that what I want?
I think you just need to go to Karen in the participant list.
And just allow chair.
Okay,
Allow.
okay,
Yeah, to the
sure.
more button, if you can.
Okay,
more.
yep,
Does it say make co-host or allow sharing?
yes, make co-host.
You can make her a co-host for now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Oh, there we go. Now I have to find the screen I want to show you.
Mhm. That's always the trick. We have like 100 different screens open.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we
thanks.
can.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, so that's just my cover sheet there. This is the map of the property with the house, just to orient you. The property line is this line around here, and this is the stream. This is the neighbor's house that has the concern. This is showing the distances to different areas. So from the pool to this neighbor's house is 473 feet. This is 313 Dedham Street, and from this house to the pool is 531 feet. And then from this house to the fence was 405 feet. And then showing you the aerial view, this is 313 Dedham Street. Their driveway is over to this side of their lot. The stream is somewhere in this area here. This is the new house at 5 Wilson's Way. And these lines are showing you the distances, and it's a little clearer
Yeah, thanks.
than my
So-
hand-drawn map. And so all of this buffer zone is not being removed. It's all staying. And then we're actually adding we're going to repopulate some of this area with plants, especially in this area here and this area here.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
That's a great picture for us. Okay, Bill, do you have any comments or questions?
I don't, Carol, thank you.
Okay, so one of the issues with this site also had to do with stormwater management. It's something that we always sort of wrestle with from a planning board standpoint, since it's not our area of expertise. And it wasn't clear to me that our town engineer had approved this site plan. So I talked to Mike Angieri several times today, and there seems to be an issue with exactly which plan he approved with the septic system versus the plan that we have in our packet. And we were on a phone call, so we couldn't compare visually, but the dates seem to be different. So as we go through the recommendation, I will explain why we have 0.5 on that, and that's to address it. we did agree that the aspects of site plan review that are clearly under the purview of the planning board have been met. And that it would be okay to make our approval contingent upon approval by the other relevant boards and departments that need to look at this in its totality. So without any further, so the issue that came up that George conveyed to us via an email after the site visit was a thought and that possibly there could be some year-round planting done on the west side of the fence. Because the pictures that were taken and the comment of Dr. Poor was that obviously in the spring, summer and fall, given the distance, that there was clearly not much of a visual impact, but that it would be quite different in the winter time. So Karen, have you had a chance to think about some kind of planting along that
On the west side of the
let's-
fence?
let me just, excuse me for a sec, let me just get out my whole plan here.
I'm gonna. see if I can
And if somebody could bring up the plan.
I have the site plan, right? That's what you're looking for, Carol?
Yep.
Okay, hang on. I believe this is. That's it, yeah. This one?
Yes, yep. So, if the cursor could go to where the far end of the pool is, right. So
There
I
it
view
is.
that as the west side. Is my direction off?
That's accurate.
Right. So is not the Dedham Street property down
Down here somewhere.
down there, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Right,
Much further now.
Yeah, right, like a little
Right.
farther out, yeah.
right. So the thought was that perhaps some plantings could be done along that segment of the fence to help with the looking up towards the property in the wintertime. We had a similar situation with a site plan review for a large solar array a couple months ago. And we just asked that the abutter and the applicant get together and come up with an agreeable landscaping plan, which they did. And that sort of solved the problem.
Carol, may I ask a question?
Mhm.
Given, I recall the solar array, which is obviously an above ground, but where the pool is a subterranean, and it really is the house that is above ground, was the objection more towards the ability to see the house in the colder months?
Yes,
And so this discussion, this point is less about obstructing the pool. It sounds like it's more of a consideration to appease or to appeal to satisfy, ameliorate a neighbor who doesn't like looking at an abutter's house. Is that? I'm trying to-
And the fence, as I understand it.
that's a
Okay.
fair state. That's a fair statement.
Right.
Okay,
The back of the house, one of the materials we chose was stucco and it's white. So I would imagine, we didn't go to Christina's house, but I know Andrew Allen did. And I could imagine that you might be able to see that through the trees because it is a bright white.
yeah,
We're
okay.
talking about the house on the far side of the pool where my cursor is now.
Yes.
So that's even
Yeah.
farther. So it's almost
Right.
like.
Yep.
Was this, and when the house was being built, was this objection raised?
No. That's the thing. In fact, we've gone through the sports barn, which is an additional outbuilding with your board. And
Yeah.
nobody raised any objections then. So I think she might have missed her opportunity. Because a lot of her We finally read her letter. If you read her letter, a lot of her objections were more about what some of the other neighbors have done to the pond and the stream and how the whole neighborhood's kind of affected them, not just our specific house.
That's a good statement. I think it's fair to say that, given that this is the latest opportunity that she's had to address the subdivision in general. I have to remember, this is a very old process. When we
Yes,
first started looking at this back 10, 15 years ago, I'm not even, it's been quite some time. I think probably the frustration is just built up a little bit.
And the abutter who has made that request is not current at the meeting this evening, isn't that correct?
Apparently not.
She is not. And I go back to George's email to us, Jody and Bill, where he said that a brief discussion occurred regarding the possibility of planting on the abutter side of the fence to obscure the view of the fence. Upon initial discussion, this seemed a reasonable compromise that both sides may find amenable.
And maybe to offer some additional comment on that, I mean, I do think we want to be sensitive, obviously, to the visual impact. I think we've, in my mind, largely addressed that by choosing to use a black chain link fence, which I think would be very difficult to see through 400 feet of undisturbed woodland. It's not going to be impossible to see if you peer around and look specifically for it. But it's not a 8-foot stockade fence or anything like that. So I think the idea that visually we've already, I think, done something to minimize the impact of that. The area where the fence is right now currently undisturbed. And the intention would be, given the flexibility of that fencing, basically just to have posts every, whatever the permit requirement is, and minimize that impact. If we were to choose to landscape that area, I think it would actually stick out even more, quite
Yeah.
frankly, than the natural undisturbed woodland would with a 4-foot black chain link fence.
If I remember correctly, that, to your point, that fence will sort of be woven through the trees.
Right, that was it.
Correct. And the area in which is most directly facing the abutter's property, there's actually quite a bit of pine, mostly white pine growth there already. So it's not clear that additional privacy plantings, especially if you're to do something like arborvitae or green giant or something that doesn't look natural, I think that would actually be a greater visual disruption to the space.
Okay, thank you.
Incidentally, does anybody know, maybe Karen, that's on your document, how long that fencing area that we're talking about is?
How long the fence is, or what the distance is from,
Just how long the fence is, because I do think it's, it looks to be a fairly reasonably large, long run of fence. When I'm looking at the site plan, I'm imagining it must be fairly reasonably big, and so it's not an insignificant conversation to consider landscaping on the west side of the fence. That's just why I'm asking.
let me see if I can get a measurement.
You know what I'm getting at, Carol? It's like,
Yep.
It's a lot of landscaping to put in.
Well, I think Andrew's comment that that an awful lot of the natural
Exactly.
landscaping, if you will, between the house and the fence is actually pines.
Exactly. And then suddenly you
That-
have something else. Yeah.
Exactly. And one imagine that there's some scrub there as well.
So the section of fence that is, it kind of makes a diamond-y shape. The section of fence that is between the two houses, you know, it kind of makes an elbow
Yeah.
part way. That's about 200 feet. And the other one is about 225 feet on the west side.
Okay.
But part of it, if you look at the site plan, part of it goes between two chunks of ledge.
Ledge. I remember that from our last conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's woven between that ledge. Um, I don't know. I guess it's a balance between the value of not disturbing the existing woodland, which has a really kind of good ground cover of a lot of like berry plants, like huckleberries and blueberries and, you know, that ground cover. It's not evergreen stuff, but it's native and it's, you know, providing habitat, and disturbing that to put in, I mean, I don't think like Andrew said, if you put in a row of something along that fence, it's gonna look completely out of place because it's a woodland. I mean, if it was every once in a while, we plucked something in that was a native evergreen, like, you know, winterberry holly, or, you know, not trees, you know, maybe just some shrubs that would get a little bigger that would hide the posts or something, but I really don't think they're gonna see the black chain link fence, because what she said, she didn't want to see it from her driveway. The driveway is on the total opposite side of the
Mhm.
property.
Yep.
So she's not only looking through the 400 feet that we have from the fence to the property line, or the 200 feet there, 200 and 300 feet there, but also all that greenery that I showed you beforehand, which is another 400 feet or something. So it's not, I don't think she's gonna see it from her driveway when she's driving in, and we're also not using a top railing, so there's not gonna be a horizontal line going through. It's gonna be just that mesh, which is black, which most of the time you're not gonna see it. It fades in, and it's, you know, it's like when you're looking through your screen, or if you put in a railing on your deck and you make it black, you think it's going to block your vision, but you actually kind of look past it. Whereas if it was white, you would see it. Or if it was wood, you would see it, you know, especially when it went in there raw.
Is it the metal mesh, or is it a more of a synthetic plastic mesh?
It would be like a vinyl coated black chain link fence that is to pool code. So it's not it's not the openings that are this big. They have to be this big because you can't get a toehold in them. So it's like the 2-inch square, or the 1-inch square, not the 2-inch square.
Any other comments or questions?
The reality is that she would have to have incredibly good glasses to see that fence from her driveway through those trees. I mean, we really struggled to even find her house. So God bless her.
Understand. So, planning board members, any other questions before we continue on with the recommendations? Okay, I sent a new recommendation document out later today. I'd like to probably take out number 4. And so I am going to read a motion, and then we will ask for any further comments before we vote on it. And before I read the motion, okay, let me go through this first. Thank you. So approval of the plan entitled Lot 3 Wilson's Way Pool and Landscaping Plan of Land in Dover, MA, prepared by John F. Glossa, PE, Glossa Engineering, Inc., dated 10/6/2020, with the following conditions. 1, any future modifications, including installation of lighting, shall be reviewed and approved by the planning board. 2, the pool shall be filled via water truck. 3, if a pool house or similar new accessory structure is installed of a size that requires a building permit greater than 200 square feet, permitting approval shall be handled accordingly. 4, this approval of the site plan submitted dated 10/6/2020 with a 6/2/2023 approval by John Glossa is subject to final review and corrections by the various town boards and committees, including the Board of Health, Town Engineer, and Building Inspector. 5, minor modifications to the site plan may be approved administratively by the town planner / planning board chair. Do I have any final comments from either Bill or Jody on that? You're on mute, Jody.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a second?
Second.
Then we will take a vote. Carol has been yes. Jody Shu,
Yes.
Bill Motley.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we're all set. Thank you very much. I would reemphasize again, oh, hi Val. I would reemphasize again that there seemed to be a conversation today at the Dover Townhouse with the town engineer and the building inspector about making sure that everybody involved is using the same set of plans to give their approvals. So you might want to meet with Walter, our building inspector, to make sure that everybody's using the same up-to-date set of plans. The one that we approved tonight was dated 2021. Mike told me that he had planned that was dated October 2020. I saw 2020 was ours. His was from 2021, where he stated that when he looked at the septic plan. So I think it's going to be very important to make sure that everybody's got the exact right plan, an updated plan.
I'll speak to that real quickly as Mike was on our job site this morning. Michael, the plan we submit to Michael comes back to me with like literally a 50 handwritten notes on it, including his stamp. So that was, and a point in time, that was the plan that he approved. What we are doing now, and obviously coming before you, is we are doing a landscape plan, which still involves the stormwater and septic, but is not Michael's handwritten plan. So if I need to get that to you so that we're all on the same page, because I met with Jason Del Monte and Michael last week, and we're putting the septic system in based on his plan, and he was there today approving it. So for him to say that he's working off a different plan, it surprises me a lot.
Well, I can only just tell you what our conversation was, and the way that we have just made our decision. You don't need to, Jonathan, send a new plan to us.
Okay,
I just want to make sure that everything that is approved by the Board of Health, by the town engineer, by the building inspector is consistent.
I'll make sure that happens.
Great, thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
You too.
You too.
Okay, hello, Val. And
Hi, sorry I'm late.
no problem, thanks for coming. James, are you still there?
He's muted.
Okay. Well, James, if you want to participate in anything or share any comments, please unmute and let us know. Okay, so we're on to section 2 of our agenda, which is other business, which is just our normal review of our FY24 initiatives, if there have been any updates. Jody and I did have the opportunity to meet with Jeff Davis from our MBTA Communities Act consultant. He has issued a preliminary report that we will be getting out to you. And he has requested a conversation tomorrow that we're trying to put together, the three of us. So I'm sure we'll have something meaningful to update you on at our next meeting in August, which is August 14th. And you can expect to get an email from Jody that summarizes the conversation we had before she went on vacation, and the first report of several that I imagine we'll be getting from Jeff over the next couple of months. There's not much more to say on that, Jody, unless you have anything else to add.
No, that's about it. I do owe that to everybody. Thank you.
Val, anything on your work, I know you had a tree committee meeting.
Yep, we had a really good productive tree committee meeting recently. We are working on applying for the Tree City USA designation. And so we've been reaching out to Park and Rec and Highway Department to get some budgets, because there's about 4 kind of been working on. So we're getting that done, and we're hoping to apply and submit the application probably late September, early October. We're also working on putting together an online resource. So we are putting an outline together, and then we're going to talk with some folks at the townhouse to see what steps we would need to take to get that put online, and then kind of time that. So that's the other piece. And then a third piece is stormwater management. We are working with the highway department to hopefully put some tree preservation aspects into the stormwater management bylaw. So I had a really good meeting with Jason Belmonte last week. He's very supportive of what we would like to do. And basically what that's going to be is, at this point, what we're looking at is maybe doing around the perimeter of a property, a tree setback. Because we were talking about, because Dover has wells, septic, and a construction site, it makes it really hard to try to put a tree preservation bylaw across the entire property. So it makes more sense, and as a protective measure with stormwater management for abutters, to look at the perimeter of the property and doing, I don't know what the footage is going to be right now, but maybe like, say a 7-foot or a 10-foot tree setback, where within that area would be the regulated trees. And if we decide to be consistent with what we already have in place in Dover, it would be any tree that's 4 inches or greater in diameter. That's what the wetlands bylaw says. Our scenic road bylaw, I think, is actually 2.5-inch diameter. So those are a little bit smaller. We felt like maybe going a little bigger might make more sense, and we might get more buy-in from the and support from the community, because we're still then able to keep the trees along the perimeter of a property to buffer the erosion, to buffer the water runoff, and to help mitigate some of the effects of construction. So that's kind of what we're looking at. What we're using Brookline and their stormwater management kind of as our guide. And the trigger point for this would be a construction project that is, I think it's 50% or greater of your current home. And I think it's square footage for the perimeter, not square footage for the entire house, but square footage for the perimeter. And then another piece that we're looking at a little more carefully is a disturbance of 1/4 of your property or more. I don't know if that's going to work in Dover, so that's going to take a little bit more conversation, I think. But those are the pieces that we're looking at to work with the stormwater management bylaw.
I would just sort of summarize that, and thank you for all that detail. And that when Val found the town of Brookline stormwater management bylaw, which I guess is now being used sort of as the best practices document for Mass DEP. And we passed it on to, and gave it to Kevin, and Kevin passed it on to Tata and Howard, who are the engineers working with the DPW. Kevin was very supportive of looking at a more modern approach of using natural resources as in addition to the mechanical construction type things of size of culverts and drains and that kind of stuff to address stormwater management, which is what the town of Brookline has done. And I think we'll have some work to do with the engineering firm to move that along. But it is established in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with the town of Brookline. So it's not that we are inventing the wheel in this case at all. Thank you, Val. Any questions for Val? Continues to be great work. Thank you very much. I'm going to change the agenda around a little bit. I'd like to review the minutes first before we get into the chair updates. So Sue had sent out the minutes of June 5th and June 21st. I hope you all had a chance to look at them. Were there any comments or edits to either one?
No, thank you.
Okay, in that case, I move that we approve the minutes of June 5th and the minutes of June 21st as submitted. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, Carol has been yes. Jody Shu,
yes.
Bill Motley.
Yes.
Great. Okay, thank you very much, Sue.
Sure.
Okay. Chair updates. Had to go to the back. Couple of things. The good news is that Val and I had the opportunity on July 12th to spend the morning interviewing 3 candidates for town planner. Three good candidates for town planner. Along with Bertie Lynch, our hiring consultant. I think it was a great morning. Thoroughly enjoyed all 3 of them. We're continuing the process with in this week on Thursday. And we hope that shortly we'll be able to tell you that we have a town planner. So fingers crossed. And we'll let you know as soon as we know. So the townhouse is aware of our progress. HR is working on the package of material and so forth. So things are proceeding quite well. An interesting update. If you remember back at the May 2022 town meeting, when we were doing changing the definitions and the table of use, we added in the table of use, we added a comment about short-term rentals that were less than 30 days, because we had nothing in our table of use addressing that. Well, lo and behold, I attended an ADU, a ZBA meeting on July 10th, and the agenda item was a resident of Dover who has an Airbnb, who for quite some time, who didn't know that a special permit was required. And I guess an anonymous call had been made into the townhouse about her Airbnb.
Hmm.
So the ZBA reviewed her application, and the process worked beautifully. It's nice to see when we do something like that, that it operationally it works through. They approved the Airbnb. They added some conditions to it, like no street parking, limited the number of folks that can stay over, no smoking, no vaping, no drugs, and so forth. All things that were just perfectly fine and appreciated actually by the homeowner, because it gave her more teeth as she worked with her Airbnb customers. So I just want to let you know that something has occurred with an AD with the short-term rental.
So I'm curious about that. A special permit is granted on a one-off basis, right? That doesn't now therefore mean we allow Airbnbs in Dover.
No, what it says in the table of use that it requires a permit. So if somebody else wants to create an Airbnb spot in their home, they would have to go to the ZBA.
Interesting,
Before we made that change in May of 22, our bylaws were silent on the whole issue.
right? That's great.
It strengthened it, and
followed
it
up.
seems that, yep, and I was very, very pleased to see how the zoning board of appeals handled it. They did a great job.
That's super interesting, yeah.
There's also, so now to our May 2023 successes. There's a property on Walpole Street that has a detached garage with a second floor that they would like to make into an ADU, except that the square footage is 1,010 feet, therefore larger than the 900 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I sent you a copy of the email that I had sent to her saying that, again, when we have zoning bylaws that don't fit what a resident wants to do, then the process is to go to the ZBA. So I expect that at some point in the future, we might see that on a ZBA agenda as well. And I have not had a chance to check to see what Walter has found relative to ADU requests and so forth. I had heard that the phone was ringing a bit, but I don't know if anything has been approved. Have you heard anything, Jody?
I haven't, and I actually find this one pretty darn interesting because I feel like, Billy, you actually specifically asked a question like this at some point along the way with the ADU discussions we were having. And that was, if you have a building that's greater than 900 square feet that exists and you want to create an ADU and you can show that your ADU is only utilizing 900 square feet of the building, that was acceptable.
But it has to go through the special permit
Has to go through-
because we didn't put anything in our bylaw that talked about that,
Okay,
Right.
got it.
even though that's our intent.
That's the intent. Okay,
Right.
got it.
And one of the reasons I attended the ZBA meeting on the short-term rental on the Airbnb was to make sure that they understood our intent
Okay, good. That's great. And did you
relative to
say,
Airbnb.
can you remind me, this person's ADU is detached, correct?
Attached, yes.
So either way, that's like
Yeah.
going there.
So, there are various ways, talking to Walter about it, obviously, there are various ways, they can wall off 110 feet.
Right.
There's other
exactly.
things they can do, it's up to, but again, the bylaws changes that we've done over the last couple of years are now beginning to
Yeah, that's good.
be implemented, and I think that's just great for all of us. Yeah.
Would you remind us, Carol, where, if you know, and maybe you don't, because I haven't heard anything, that process with the Attorney General's office stands?
So the paperwork's in, Sue
Mhm.
submitted it when Laura was here, right? So it was done in
Yes.
early June, and we haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
I think usually it's September, October by the time we hear.
Yeah, the fall.
Thank you.
Just to close the loop, and I referred to it in the conversation on the landscaping for Wilson's Way. We did receive from the solar array folks that were doing the solar array at 61 Farm Street.
Mhm.
The landscapers and the abutter and the applicant did meet. There's now, they came to an agreement on how they were going to shield the solar array. And they submitted a landscaping plan for our files. We don't have to approve it or anything. But this is where the neighbors got together and they worked it out, and it was good news.
Super.
Two big things going on, or three big things going on from a development standpoint. I think last year, my emails on this go back to last July, so for the last 12 months, and I think Laura had updated us at some point as well on a possible 40B on Trout Brook and Edgewater. This is off of Claybrook. What was unique about this was that it was going to be 4 individual homes on 4 individual lots. And only 2 were contiguous. One was across the third one was across the street, and the 4th lot was quite around the corner. So there was a site visit that I attended with Walter and a few others back, I think it was in January. And the application has finally come in to the ZBA. And the ZBA has set up a Zoom meeting on August 3rd for the team to get updated on this. I can't remember whether the email went out to all of you. If anybody's interested in attending, just contact Sue and she can send you the Zoom information. Or you can just go on to the town calendar on the website and get the information you need. It's the evening of August 3rd. That's the first 40B. I received a call about 2 weeks ago from a representative of the Pulte Group, which along with Toll Brothers, I think is one of the large national home development companies. They have put together 17 acres of land on Junction Street past the Dover Sherburne Regional Campus. So it's between the school and the Medfield town line on the same side as the region. They have conceptually thought about 100 units, 1 to 2 bedroom each, either as a 40B, maybe as an MBTA communities density. They've already started to try to do some work, and the Conservation Commission is involved with making sure that that they get a delineation of the wetlands before they start doing test pits and so forth and so on. I suggested to the representative that we get a meeting of all the powers that be, the whole land use team, if you will, so that we can figure out how to move forward on this. And that's been set up for 6:30 on Tuesday, August 1st. I think you've all received the information on that. And we've got great attendance, so thank you for those that have responded positively. Mona had sent out the email. And we will hear what they have to say. And also there's a big property on Dedham Street that's currently for sale that I understand might become a 5 to 7 house subdivision with an agreement in place and due diligence being done by the prospective buyer. So I think that we are going to have a very, very busy housing aspect to the planning board over the next year, which is why we all need to keep every finger and toe crossed for the interviews on Thursday.
Carol, can you say which property on Dedham Street?
The one that's for sale is 195 Dedham. It's right across from the intersection of Mill Street and Dedham Street, across from Holly Kelsey's old house.
Yeah,
It's B. Adams Estate.
yeah, okay,
Beautiful brick Georgian in the way back with a bunch of outbuildings as well.
yes, yeah. And that's
Right.
how many acres?
I think it's around 42. Last time I looked on, I think it was 42. It's on for 6.8,
Yeah,
according to Zillow. So that's where we are from a housing development standpoint. Could be some interesting, fascinating conversations going on, especially on the Pulte Homes situation. That's, if anybody knows him, I do not know him, Frank Goby's property. Okay. I had the opportunity to meet with our new town administrator, Mike Blanchard, last week when I was in Dover for a day. He's great. I know Val has been enthused since the day she met him on the search committee. I can understand why as well. I think he's going to be a wonderful addition to the town. And we spent a little bit of time going over some of the more immediate issues that the planning board has that he and the selectmen need to be involved with as well, which is certainly Pulte and a couple of other little things that are on our plate. But I look forward to working with him, and I hope you all have the opportunity to stop in and say hello to him. You know, obviously he's swamped in the first couple of weeks, but if you'd like to just, find a time to pop in, just give Mona a call. And he's very anxious to get to meet everybody. So I urge you to take advantage of his welcoming nature and say hello. So that's all I have. That's enough for chair updates. Does anybody else have anything else?
No, thanks, Carol.
No? Okay. Our next meeting is August 14th. We'll have some more information on Pulte. We may have some more information on MBTA communities. And we have some kind of, I know we have a new application coming in because I think I'm going to have to do a site visit or something on an outbuilding. And other than that, I don't think there's anything that we're aware of right now. Right, Sue?
Right.
And then we moved just I want to make sure everybody changed the calendar. We moved the September 25th meeting to October 2nd. So the next 5 meetings are on the agenda. Hopefully by the September meeting, we'll have a town planner. And then we'll work from there.
Sue, do you have any lead on a quorum for August 14th? I really want to make that meeting because it sounds like we might have some things to talk about that are, but I have a family conflict, so I'm just wanting to understand if there's first and foremost a quorum.
When
'cause
I
I'm
get
just
into
going
the
for a
office-
portion of it.
When I get into the office tomorrow, Jody, I will shoot an email out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Jody, is there a date that would be better for you?
Oh, well, I don't want to mess up everybody's calendar, but it's just, I could do the 21st the following week, but I understand everybody's schedules are crazy, so. I'm guessing I can probably come for a little bit of that meeting, but I won't be able to come to all of it. Or maybe it'll be a short meeting and it won't matter, but I just want to throw that out there.
Right now, it doesn't look like the agenda's gonna be too busy, other than, updates and then the one site plan review.
Right.
Right,
Okay,
Kara?
I'll look for
Right.
your email. Thanks, Sue.
And given that we are now trying to adhere to that calendar that we put together, saying we need to have, I think it was 10 working days for applications.
Right,
Within the next week, something might come up, but otherwise we're going to be within that period and that.
Right.
So.
Thanks.
But Jody, if
I'll
you
be
like,
on the Pulte meeting for sure.
great, okay. So, please let me know, who's going to be on the Pulte meeting, just so that, if we're not going to have a quorum, then we don't have to post it as a planning board meeting. So, so you might send out would you do me a favor and send out an email asking for attendance at the Pulte meeting?
sure.
And
And
Carol, can you just remind me the Trout Brook meeting? I think you said it's the first or second?
Yeah, the Trout Brook meeting is August 3rd,
Third, okay.
and I believe their meetings are at 7 o'clock. Let me just check. Yeah, 7 o'clock, August 3rd. For Trout Brook, and then 6:30, August 1st for Pulte.
Yeah, I have that one. Thank you.
Right. Lots of rumors about the Dover market.
What's the
Any-
latest?
Any good rumors?
Well, anything different than what we've talked about before?
Well, I heard a rumor when I was up last week in Dover that it's going to be more like a convenience store. Which implied to me that we might not have the fish in the meat market, for instance,
Temporarily though, Carol.
temporarily. So you heard
Yes.
temporarily, okay.
Yes, temporarily. They haven't gone through the process of licensing for prepared food and the deli and so on and so forth. So it's basically going to be a convenience store temporarily.
But their plan is to go and get the licenses through the Board of
Yeah,
Health and
yep.
everything else. Okay,
Jason Belmont updated us on that.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Could you do me a favor? Could you send out to all of us a quick blurb
Mhm,
on what you basically just said?
sure.
So that as people call us and so forth, we could be consistent in what we've told people, because it has gotten, as one can imagine, a tremendous amount of social media presence.
Sure.
Hmm.
Um,
What's up with the Dover Deli? I mean, obviously a fire, but any info on
I
that?
haven't heard anything. Did that come out also at the inspector meeting?
There are rumors that it may never reopen because of the damage. I guess was pretty bad. It's to the point where it literally melted the ovens, the pizza ovens and the cooking appliances. So, I mean, if it ever opened, it would have to obviously comply with the current regulations and what have you. So that might be a little difficult as well.
Oh,
So it's kind of like wait and see.
Maybe
Wow.
we get our ambiance rich coffee cafe.
Yeah, right.
Well, there were no smoke alarms in the facility.
is that even a thing?
No smoke alarms in the facility, and the ice cream, the ice cream storage thing was attached to the wall via was not directly attached to the wall. So yes. Is it a thing? I don't know. Shouldn't be.
I don't even think that's like a thing, not to have.
Shouldn't be.
small
Yeah.
arms.
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so extension cords were used, which melted. And created the problem.
Wow,
And a car just happened to drive by around 4:30 in the morning and see the flames.
no way. Wow.
That's what I've heard, so. Yeah. I think that's about it.
Well, thank you.
So thank you all. Hope you've been having a great
Adjournment,
summer.
Carol.
Yep, yep. I hope you all have a good summer and a good August. Let's vote to adjourn the meeting at 8:11. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Carol Lisbon, yes. Jody Shu,
yes.
Bill Motley.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
Great to see you all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.